Hey, before we jump into this training, I've got to tell you something that's going to completely sound backwards, all right? The number one complaint that we get from our coaching clients right now is that they're overwhelmed. And here's the crazy part. They're overwhelmed because they have too many leads. Now, that's what I call maybe a good problem to have, right? So in this training you're about to watch, my partner Gavin and I broke down exactly what to do when this problem happens to you. And trust me, if you follow what we teach, it will hit you, right? Here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover the 4 simple fundamentals that separate people who actually do deals from people who just think about doing deals. We're going to talk about why my teenagers, when they were 13, 14 years old, were able to make over $150,000 flipping land with me, while most adults were still stuck in analysis paralysis mode. And the follow-up secret that we're going to talk about here, man, that's responsible for 93% of our deals. Most people completely miss this. So look, if you're tired of overthinking and you're ready to start taking what I call massive imperfect action, then this training is for you. And hey, if you want us to do all your marketing for you and hand you 60 qualified leads in 60 days, stick around to the end, and I'm going to tell you how that all works. But right now, let's dive into how to be brilliant at the basics. Here we go. You ready? What is the number one complaint that we get from our coaching clients and our apprentices? Too many leads. Oh, yes. That's a good problem to have, though. Isn't that, Gavin?
Overwhelmed with leads.
Yeah,
absolutely. It is.
Even if you're not working with us, when you start doing what we teach, you're going to have the same problem yourself. And it's a good problem to have. You got too many leads. I'm like, oh my gosh, this wasn't supposed to work this fast, right? I was expecting it to be like houses. I was expecting it to work like what I'm used to with other strategies that I was doing in the past, whether you were doing subject to, lease options, owner financing, commercial, houses, wholesaling, whatever it is in the past. You're used to this old school, old way of doing things. And then all of a sudden you finally listen to us and you're like, you know what? I'm going to try this land thing. And you do the marketing that we teach and you start sending the offers like we tell you to say. And then all of a sudden, guess what? You've got a problem. And you know what the problem is? You've got too many leads. And so Gavin and I have been working with a lot of our apprentices. And cool, some of you are on X right now. Some of you are on YouTube. We see you all. Thanks for being here. Really cool. I appreciate it. And so Gavin and I thought, let's do a quick webinar. This isn't going to take long. We want to break this down no more than an hour. And we want to talk to you like mano to mano. Okay, if you're a lady, we want to talk to you heart to heart. We want to have a real conversation here about what it takes to be successful in the land business. And you know what? It's not that hard. And so I wanted to sound the clarion call today and say, listen, stop complicating it. Let's get back to basics. Let's get brilliant at the basics because this business is not hard. Listen, if my teenager kids, zits and all, can do land deals, so can you. At 13 and 14 years old, a few years ago, did over $150,000 in profits in vacant land deals. Then you can too. There is no reason why you can't. So Gavin and I have been working with a handful of apprentices over the last few months, maybe 8 months now. And we're seeing tremendous success. We're seeing awesome success. But the biggest complaint we're getting is from folks that we're doing the marketing, we're giving them leads. The biggest complaint we're getting is, oh my gosh, I've got too many leads. What do I do with all of this? And so Gavin and I wanted to create a real simple training for everybody, whether you're working with us one-on-one or not, on what to do with leads as they come in. And how can you avoid the mistake? Like, you know, Gavin, I want you to share your story here in a minute here, but when I first got started, I was a professional student for 3 years because I got stuck in analysis paralysis. And I was always just so afraid of success. I was afraid of the sellers getting mad at me. I was afraid of the no's, but I was also afraid of the sellers saying yes. Like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I got stuck in my comfort zone of, well, I just need to analyze this deal a little more. I need to update my website. I need to update the CRM. I need to get a new phone number. I need to get a better voicemail. I need to pick a better market. I need to make sure I understand all the paperwork and all the contracts. And I never did a deal for 3 years because I was stuck in analysis paralysis. And it wasn't until I got so frustrated because I was spending more money on my education than I was making that I finally said, screw it, forget it. I'm just going to go do it. I don't care if I make a mistake anymore because my why got big enough. We talk about this a lot. When your why is big enough, your how will find a way. and I started figuring out the how. There's this concept of being brilliant at the basics. And one of the things we're going to talk about in this webinar, and this is maybe too long of an introduction. I'm going to hand it over to Gavin here in a second. Let's get back to the brilliant basic things. Let's get back to like, what does it take? What are the fundamentals? What are the foundational things that we need to do here? Because we want to help you do deals. We want to help you make more money flipping vacant land because it is the easiest and the fastest way to make money in real estate today. 100%. Honest to God truth. Flipping vacant land is the easiest and fastest way to make money in real estate today. And if you're interested in that, well, you're in the right place because we're going to start talking about when you do what we teach with getting the marketing out there, getting the leads, what do you do with those things? And we're going to talk about what to focus on and what to ignore. What should you be putting all of your time and attention and focus on, and what should you stop worrying about? So Gavin, how you got started in real estate, you have a unique story because you were more of a massive action taker than I was. I was like, I had to study everything. I had to have all my I's dotted, all my T's crossed. And you're like, well, screw it. I can figure this out. I can do it, right? So talk about that for a second.
Absolutely, yeah. Different, definitely different. I hadn't bought any courses, not read any real estate books. I went straight into coaching and had an opportunity, basically got presented to me to work from a phone and a laptop from England originally, live in the United States as a golf professional. And basically had this opportunity and someone's telling me, oh, you'd be perfect to do this. And I'm like, I don't know anything about houses or flipping things. Like I'm not no good with the hands. I can't fix anything. Like, what are you talking about being a property investor? He's like, I know you totally could do it. I started to look into it and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to give it a go. So I went all in, joined coaching straight away. And basically spent $700 on direct mail at the time, generated some leads and nothing happened immediately. So I was like, well, what am I going to do now? So that's when I started to then be proactive. I reached out to, I went to a meetup in Phoenix actually, and started to work with other investors that had been generating leads, but wasn't working them, wasn't following up with them. So that's what I did. So I quickly figured out that where was the power of getting deals done? And it was making offers, okay? And I figured that if I could sit in someone else's business that had been generating leads, had leads, but they wasn't doing the things that make money, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you're gonna focus, if you wanna do deals, you have to be having conversations and you've gotta be making offers, okay? Now, you don't have to talk to people. You can just make offers. But there's one thing that I think we all would agree with, that we've got to make an offer if you're going to do a deal, okay? Oh, yeah. You've got to make offers. So I thought, okay, if I work these leads, then that's going to be the fastest way for me, as the training says, to make money. They're telling me if I'm having conversation, I'm making offers, that's going to be the fastest way. So I can skip all the other stuff and take someone else's leads that are dead, okay? And let's see what we can do. And it was very simple. Someone gave me a spreadsheet of 60 dead leads. And on this spreadsheet, there were direct mail leads and they were 3 months old. I could see the date that they were sent and they had some good notes, right? In what that conversation was. They were handed to me and said, these are dead. You know, you're probably not going to get anything, but if you want to try, like, you can. Like, there was no confidence in the handover that something was there. But I was like, yeah, sure, I'll call them. Within 7 days, we locked up the first 2 deals, okay? And anyone could have locked them up. And it was very simple. I looked at the notes and I remember the first ever house that I did. It was literally the lady had said, I don't want to sell. I'm going to clean the house, like clear all the clutter. I'm going to put money in, fix it up, and I'm going to sell it on the market. Okay, that's what the note said. So literally I pick up the phone and I literally go back over them notes and I say, hey, let's say her name was Miss Betty. Hey, Miss Betty, you know, you spoke to Joy 3 months ago about your property on Monty Street. Do you still own it? Oh, yes, I do. Oh, based on the notes, it said that you were going to do this, this, and this. Did that end up happening? Actually, no, it's still sitting there. I've not done a thing. Oh, okay. Well, look, we might still be interested in potentially buying the property. Is that something that, you know, you'd still be consider? Yeah, I've come to the realization I'm super busy. I've not done anything in 3 months. So I think I just want to sell it. So cut a long story short, it was a 1-call close just from having that. There was zero skill. It was the right place at the right time. But you have to create your own look in this business by doing it.
So Gavin, let me ask you something. Did you have the money to close on the deal?
Nope.
Did you have the title company or the realtor to help you figure it out?
Nope.
Did you understand all the contracts and the paperwork? And
Nope.
did you know how to estimate? Now, this was a house, right? But did you understand how to estimate repairs and after repair value and all of that, the financial numbers and calculations and all that?
Nope. I didn't even talk about repairs. I just talked about the offer that she made last time.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what I was doing. So I was like, and actually, I did your coaching call this morning. I talked about this because now I didn't even try and get it lower. I didn't even try and negotiate. I was just like, well, we might be able to pay 80,000. Would you be interested, like that number still? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I didn't even try and go lower because, again, I didn't know what I was doing. But for me, it was about doing the deal, right? And bringing up all these objections, because if you get too many what ifs, because when we learn something new, we always want to look at the worst things that can happen. And the thing is in real estate is that you're never prepared. You never will be prepared. And people that have kids will say, you just have to figure it out. When you have a kid, you figure it out, right? No one was prepared. It doesn't matter how many books you read or anything. You just deal with sleepless nights and the things.
Because every kid is different. And
Absolutely.
every deal is different.
Exactly. So therefore, don't worry about it. If it's not happening to you, don't worry about it.
So you didn't have all your I's dotted and all your T's crossed.
And the biggest fear, and this is the funny part, and I remember her face. She looked at me like I was an alien, right? The biggest fear was, what if I did a what if to her, right? And she looked at me like I was crazy. I said, what if they make me buy the house? I'm only going to do this, and I said this to her, if you go on the contract, because what if I can't close and they're going to make me? And she looked at me like, yeah, I'll go on the contract. Like, you're fine. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I literally looked at her. I was like, okay, as long as we're clear, you're going to go on the contract, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, no problem. As soon as she lifted that, I was pounding the phone because my hesitation was, what if someone says yes, and then I have to contract this thing, and then I don't have any money? And what if it doesn't close? And I started doing it, and I went, no, the training said. And then as soon as I said, would you contract it? And she was like, yeah, no, like, yeah, of course, like, no problem. I was like, all right, I'm just hitting the phones. And it just changed the game, just changed everything for me. And then you realize when I went through the first transaction, I'm like, oh yeah, we have the outs in the, like, this is obvious, right? When we have the language in there that we have an inspection period, we can get out the contract. But when you don't know, fear kicks in. So you have to put things in place to stop that. You've got to quieten that down so you can still take action.
So, Gavin, this is such an important story. I wanted to tell you all about this because this is what the focus of this is. Like, we see this over and over again. This fear of, I don't know if it's just a fear of success. You're intimidated by the unknown. You just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you don't know. And you think, I thought this was going to be easy. If you don't have somebody in your corner that you can bring the deals to, that you can just trust to help you hold your hand across the finish line, and you don't have to worry about steps 7 and 8, and you can just do steps 1 and 2. Do you see like the pressure that just lifts? You can take a deep breath. Like, man, you know what? I don't have to figure it all out. I don't have to know it all now. I can partner with somebody that's been there, done that has the money, that understands the contracts, not afraid to put their name on the contract, not afraid. They know how to communicate with the realtor and the buyers and the title companies. And right. So, I mean, I get so passionate about this because so many people are stuck in this fear of like, I don't know how it's all going to work. Well, this is why we created the apprentice program. Now, whether you decide to work with us or not, right? Like maybe my team can go ahead and just put the link in the Zoom chat right now. If you want to work with us, we have an apprentice program. You can work with us one-on-one. We'll do all your marketing. We'll give you leads. We'll pay for the marketing. We'll give you leads if you're qualified. And we just want to do more deals. Okay. And so there's the link. I think that link is hyperlinked, Sam, or something. But if you go to joemccall.com/apprentice, and I'll put it on the screen here in a minute, we want to do more deals. And so whether you decide to work with us or not, we wanted to talk with you about these simple, basic things, like the only things you need to worry about. Stop worrying about all of steps 7 and 8 when you're not even doing steps 1, 2, and 3 yet. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is super important. Now, I'm going to get this link up here, Gavin.
Yeah, now just while you're doing that, I just want to say, like, the reason for the apprentice exists is because we want you to get into a position to make money as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
The only way to do that, as I said, on the journey that I was on, is to have conversations and make offers. To have more conversations, make more offers, and then follow up on them offers to turn that into profit. And that is what it's designed to do. So there's no more guessing of the market. There's no more, how do I get my marketing? Is my marketing going to perform? All of that's going away. You're literally being delivered leads, okay? So you can focus on the thing that will get you the result the fastest with the right amount of focus. Now, we will come on through this session as well, that we just said, people still get overwhelmed with that step. And we're going to cover that to then break that down to try and stop that.
Yeah. All right. So if you can't attend the full thing, just go to joemccall.com/apprentice right now if you want to check it out. Okay. So we've got a bunch of notes. I want to cover this with y'all and Gavin. Why are we doing this? Well, because we want to do more deals and we want to help you do more deals, whether you're doing deals with us or not, right? And so we're going to break this down into real simple things. One of the important things to understand, and Gavin, talk about this a little bit. Overwhelm is a choice. Let me say that again. Overwhelm is a choice. Why is that, Gavin?
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason overwhelm is a choice is because normally it's because you're taking on too much information at one time. Okay. So we can only instruct our minds to do, but we're only programmed to do one thing at a time, right? We talk about multitasking, people being able to multitask, people can't, but truly to focus on one thing. Okay, you can only actually dedicate your time in one thing. So what happens is that when we gather too many things, we then go, well, do I do this? I got to do that. I got to do the other. And we spend so much time figuring out the things that we should be doing that we don't actually get anything done. All right. So in the program, we've always taught one module at a time, try and take action, right? And everyone else goes, well, I want to watch it all. I want to figure it so I know exactly how it all works. Well, you trying to figure how it all works is now retaining too much information that you shouldn't have done. And now you don't know where to start. You mix it all up. Okay. You don't know what Freedom Soft's doing. You don't know what this is. How do I pick the market again? What was how many sold? You start getting panicking. You get into like a panic mode where then you can't take action. And if you don't have clarity, okay, then you can't act on it. It's like if we went to the store right now, normally if you're going to go to the grocery store, you can probably go two ways to get there. You don't sit there and analyze which way you should go. Everyone knows we could go this way, this way. If one's got traffic, it might be 30 seconds quick. You just go and do it, don't you? You don't sit there and think about it and every turn that you're going to do. You just get on with it and do it. And that's what we want to do in the business, right? We want to do, when you build a wall, you didn't build the wall. You placed one brick at a time and it created the wall, right? A bricklayer, that's what they do. When they build a house, they're doing one thing at a time. They put one brick down and then they put the next brick down. Now, again, they're skilled people. I'm not saying we could all go and build a house, but my point is, it is a one-step thing. Okay, so to be able to overcome the overwhelm, it is to break something down wherever you are in your business, as chaotic as it is. You've watched Joe's YouTube, you've been on other people's YouTube, you've been on calls like this, you've got it all, but you can't put it into action. And guess what? It's because you need to break it down into one thing. You need to prioritize your tasks, okay, in order, and you do that one thing. And until that is done, you do not move on. So that's where the discipline and dedication kicks in. Like, you have to pick a state before you pick a county. Once you've picked a county, okay, we can't start marketing until we have a county. So don't worry about if you're doing this postcard or this postcard. We need a county first. And then we go and pick the postcard. Then you can send the postcard out once you've picked. You see what I'm doing? Yeah. That's how you move forward through a process. But we don't do that. We say, Joe's got 20 postcards. Which one should I pick? And you start getting overwhelmed because you're looking at all these postcards.
Yeah. That's so good.
What's the postcard that works? I'm going to pick that one.
Yeah, exactly. I talk about it in terms of stop asking what if and start asking what next. You guys need to write that down. You need to stop asking what if. and start asking what next. If you want to make a lot of money in this business, and this is something that we're harping on all the time with our apprentices that are working with us one-on-one, stop asking what if. What is next? That's all you need to worry about. That's all you need to worry about. What's next? And what does that mean to you? Well, the first step, there's 4 simple steps to doing a deal. Are you ready for this? This is groundbreaking rocket science here, okay? I mean, I got a degree in engineering, civil engineering. It didn't do me any good, but I got one. And then I got an MBA. Like, what the heck was I thinking? I don't know. But there's really only 4 things you need to do a deal. Number 1, write this down, marketing. And this is where we're talking about the brilliant at the basics, being brilliant at the basics. If you want to do a lot of deals, these are the 4 things you need to be really, really brilliant at. Okay. Number 1, marketing, consistent marketing. And you know what? You need to get it done for you in spite of you. If you just can't do it yourself, then find somebody to do it for you. Get us to do it for you. Find a software or a developer or a mail house or somebody that can do it for you. Virtual assistants, right? Number 1 is marketing. We're not in the real estate investing business. We're in the marketing business. Yep. So get your marketing done for you in spite of you. Number 2, talk to sellers. Okay. And we're not talking about, you don't need to be the Grant Cardone, but you just need to talk like, I'm talking 3 minutes. Just talk to the sellers. Ask them a few questions. You just need to be nice. That's all. Just be nice. Talk to them, establish a little rapport, a little relationship. Ask them some questions. Ask the seller some questions. What's number 3? Make offers. That's it. And we're going to be breaking these down in a little more detail here on this webinar. Number 3, make offers. Are you guys writing this down? Write these things down. Number 1, marketing. Number 2, talking to sellers. Number 3, make offers. And when we get a client in the apprentice program, and some of our apprentices are here watching this right now. So what's up, guys? One of the cool things I enjoy doing with our apprentices, Gavin, is we talk to them every morning. Every morning at 8:30 a.m., I get on Zoom. I'm not doing anything else, so I'm just going to open up Zoom. We all come in together and we comp deals. We talk deals. And this is something I'm always harping on, all right? And when somebody says, hey, I'm getting overwhelmed, my big philosophy is data, not drama, right? I didn't make that up. A friend of mine named Mark Evans made that up. But data, not drama. So what's the one thing we ask? All right, Jim, Mary, how many offers have you made in the last week? Why are you worried about this thing? Why are you worried about these what ifs when you've not done the what next yet? The what next is you've talked to the seller. Maybe you've called him 3 times and you got a voicemail. Okay, so what next? Send them an offer. Send them an offer. There's 2 important metrics in this business. These are the only metrics you need to know in your business. Ready? Write this down. How many offers have you made in the last week? And how many offers have you made in the last month? That's all we care about. That's all you should care about as well. How many offers have you made? That's it. It's the number 1 rule in real estate. It's not location, location, location. It's make offers, make offers, make offers. And if you're not making offers, you're not making money. Yep. It also goes back to if you're not talking to sellers, you're not making money. And if you're not doing marketing, you're not making money. So these are the main things, okay? And the 4th thing, and we're going to break this down in a little more detail quickly here, is follow-up. Gavin, talk about, follow-up. We did 58 deals. We looked back in the previous 12 months. This is a few years ago. We did 58 deals. And how many deals came from just that initial contact?
Yeah, 54. So 58 deals, 54 came from follow-up. So it's about 93% follow-up to close.
And 4 came from the first contact.
Yes, 54 deals. So this is the difference between being in business and being out of business. This is the difference between not surviving and surviving.
This is the difference between business and a hobby.
Absolutely. And there's a place for that. If you want to do 1 deal a year, that's okay. If that's what your expectation is and that's what your time is and you want to do this and treat it. But a lot of people that we talk to want to get out of the W-2, want to travel more, want to have financial freedom, want to do whatever they want to do, right? That's what it is. It's do what you want, when you want, with who you want. And the only way to do that is to do the fundamentals correctly, because it's easy to pick up all of the hype and to pick up all these things, that distractions, right? Shiny objects is the word I'm looking for. We all get shiny objects. And at the end of the day, and especially when, the apprentice, because you work closely with them, it's obviously easier to go, why are you looking at this right now? Like, you have 27 people to speak to, 27 offers to make. if you're going to make a deal, this is not whatever you're doing, whatever ad you've seen, that is not what you need to focus on right now. That isn't going to get you closer to your goal. And everything you lead in your business needs to get you to make that offer and to do that follow-up. So as you just said, the 4 fundamentals, that's why they go in, right? You guys say, well, I can't make an offer if I don't have anyone to speak to, or I don't have any leads. That's correct. But if you rely on, you've got to be the marketer, you've got to be the person on the phone, you've got to be the one making the offers, you've got to be one obviously doing the follow-up, because you're a sole entrepreneur. Joe already said it. The easiest thing is to outsource, right? Again, in the apprentice program, why do you think we give you the leads? Why do you think we generate the leads? Because that's where that's the first thing we need to make you successful, is we need leads, right? And when people are calling you, and I've never seen this, I'm obviously, people that know me, I was cold call, right? But inland, I've got to say, like, we can generate leads with cold calling, but the direct mail, it's insane. It is insane, the responses. Yeah. It's insane.
And there's a huge difference between outbound leads where you're going out and trying to get them, and leads that are calling you. And so that's why in the apprentice program, and I put the link again here in the chat, my team will put it in the chat, but joemccall.com/apprentice. Again, this isn't a pitch necessarily, although we do want to work with more folks, but we're just going to we're going to set everything up for you and give you leads. But what we're talking about here is, what do you do with these leads now when they come in? And it's talking to them, making offers, and following up. Now, follow up is where I see a lot of people get a little tripped up, because they're like, oh man, I talked to 30 sellers and none of them were motivated. So you think none of them wanted to give me their deal at 10 cents on the dollar, or 30 cents or 50 cents on the dollar. They all wanted full price. What's the French word? Contraire, mon frère, whatever that is. No, you're going to get most of the deals from the follow-up. So this is what we do. This is a very simple process. And our Freedom Soft setup will do this for you automatically. Okay? Number one, it'll send the offer, and then we follow up every 30 days. And on average, Gavin, of those 54 deals, of the 58 deals that came from follow-up, correct me if I'm wrong, on average, it was 2 to 3 months of follow-up, 7 to 8 touches. Is that right?
Yep. 7 to 8 touches on average, up to 12, some of them, we probably did one that year. I think it was 2 years, right, that came in. So you're bringing things in, but remember, your marketing spend that you spend today doesn't mean you get your return in 30 days. And that's why profit is in the follow-up. I tracked, when I first started cold calling, I generated 100 leads. Get this. And I tracked this, 100 leads in 30 days that we generated. Okay. In week 6, I locked up the first deal, first contract. It made 7,500. Okay. So you could say one contract, 6 weeks, 7,500 generated from 100 leads. Okay. So follow me. In 5 months, we did 107,000 in assignment fees over a 5-month period for the 100 leads.
Yep.
So we went it was either, I think, 1 in 100 to start with, and over 5 months, it was like 1 in 15 to 20 leads converted from follow-up.
Okay.
The money had already been spent.
Look at Dan here. How are you getting the properties at 50 to 90% off? We're not getting the properties at 50 to 90% off. We're getting them at 30 to 50% off. Is that right? Yeah. Not okay. We're buying them at, I'm getting it backwards. Yeah. We're buying them at 30 to 50 cents on the dollar. Does that make sense? Okay, not off. How are we doing that, Gavin?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, you're marketing, you're generating a lead, right? And what you're looking for is that there's 2 interested things that happen. 1, I'm interested in selling this land because you've reached out to me, or I want an offer to see what you'd pay. Okay, they're kind of the most common things of what you want to look for as a positive lead. So we're not saying take me off your list and all this, right? We're talking about the ones that want an offer, okay, and the ones that are interested.
They're raising their hand.
They're raising their hand. It wasn't go and jump off a bridge answer, right? There's like, okay, I've got some interest. That does not mean that they don't want too much money. That doesn't mean that they're not over asking, they're not trying, all these things. That's the first thing that we look for. Then, this is why the conversation is so important, okay? So when we have the conversation, there is 4 things that I'm looking for, Okay.
Oh, write this. Get your pen and paper, guys. Write this down.
Pen and
this
paper.
Yeah. This is why I wanted to get Gavin on this call with me, because he's so good at teaching this.
Okay, so there's 4 things when we're having a conversation, and your questions will go around these 4 things. Okay. So number 1 is the situation motivation, right? So the situation that they're in will tell you a lot about how motivated they're going to be. So if they say, I've just inherited it, I've got kids going to college, it's in another state, I've no idea about this state, this land, I've got it, I need to get rid of it. This is a high motivation situation, right? It could be opposite. It could be like, well, you reached out, I just thought I'd see what you'd offer. I don't care if I keep it for another 50 years, right? But this is number 1. So the situation and motivation is we're going to do a question that's going to pull that out. And we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay. Number 2 is the timeline. How quick, this is the question for this one. How quickly are you interested in selling? Okay. Is this a now thing? Is this in 7 years? Like, how quickly are you interested in selling? Or when you find their motivation, you say, okay, if we could take care of this, how quickly would you want that to happen? Okay. So that would be number 2 is a timeline. Okay. Number 3 is kind of, I'm going to put it in the condition section. So the condition would be, we ask questions. Hey, Mr. Seller, do you mind if I ask questions about the land? Yes, no problem. Okay, just to cut, it's 3 acres. Does it have road access, right? We're looking road access. Is it landlocked? You know, is there utilities on the property? Is it cleared? I mean, is there trees all over it? Is it cleared? Like, we're just asking these questions, and then they'll go, I've no idea, I'm in a different state. Or yeah, it's cleared. Oh, it's ready to build a house. Yeah, we've got road access. Like, they're going to give you this information, and we're going to call that in the condition section, right? So we can ask them, that's a nice, easy, like, question for, okay, if you've got it on Zillow, you could be referencing, like, oh, I'm actually looking on Zillow. It says 2 acres. No, it's 5 acres. Okay, well, Zillow is probably wrong. Let me, tell me more about it. Is it cleared? Does it have road access? They're going to give you this information, okay? And then the last thing is always the hardest, is the price, okay? Hey, Ms. Seller, how much are you looking for the property? Okay? Hey, do you have a price in mind? Okay? Hey, it sounds like, based on what you've said, obviously you want to get the kids to school. It sounds like this is so number 1, the motivation is kids through school. You need money, right? So that's what I'm notating, writing down. So it sounds like you want to get something going quickly here. This is a need that you want to probably get this moved and sold. Timeline, quickly, great. Condition, he knows that he doesn't, verifying, and now it comes down to the price, right? This is the one where the negotiation is going to happen. And you got to sometimes push, just asking, hey, Joe, do you have a price in mind? No, I don't. I don't have a price in mind. Okay. Now, I'm not just going to give up on that.
Yeah.
Go on, Joe.
That's good.
Yeah,
Because I was going to ask you, what do you say when they don't give you a price? How do you get some kind of price range out of them or something?
Absolutely. So I'm always big. If the conversation's going well, I always go way lower than I think I need to be. Okay. So let's say I've pulled this up on Zillow and, I'm thinking of going 25,000 on this land, this piece of this plot, right? I may say something like, oh, you have no idea. I'll say, well, I haven't really looked at the comparables, but, if I said 10,000, how would that make you feel? Okay. Now there's 2 things. Pay attention to what I said. Mm-hmm. If I offered you 10,000, how would that make you feel? Now, this is the reason I said this. If he says, well, yeah, 10,000, 10,000, that'd be good. That could work. Fantastic. Right, I'm in the right ball. Now, I'm not going to get all excited about it. Okay, great. Well, let me look at the numbers. Now I'm going, okay, all right, this is really good. If he says 10,000, that'd be ridiculous. That's got to be worth way more than that. Okay, now pay attention. So then I will say, well, it's a good job I didn't offer you that.
Yeah.
Okay, how close to that 10,000 could we get? Now I'm moving it back onto the seller to give me a price. So he told me first he didn't have any idea, but I wasn't buying that. He then told me 10,000 was ridiculous. So now I'm putting it back on him again, because he can't say I've not made an offer now, because I've thrown something out. And I say, well, how close? And now this is where you'll get, well, I want 50 at least, or I want 20, or I want 30. You're going to get a number, and the number is what I need. Okay. Because then I know where we're at. And when I get that number, I can work off it.
This is so good because so many people are afraid to talk to sellers because they don't know what they're going to say, and they're afraid they're going to get stuck on answering a question they don't know the answer to, or being asked a question they don't know the answer to. But we're just trying to break this down into simple questions that you can talk to the seller. This whole conversation, you're not trying to be some master sales negotiator. You're not trying to be somebody you're not. You're just like, hey, you got to pretend you've got $1 million burning a hole in your pocket, $100,000, $10 burning a hole in your pocket, and you're looking for a deal to buy. So we're just asking questions. What's their motivation? What's your situation? What's going on? All right? What would you like to see happen? Timeline. You're not in a hurry to sell this thing, are you? Right? Okay, yeah. Is this a now thing or a later thing for you? A lot of different ways you can ask that. The third thing is, what kind of condition is the property in? Tell me about it. Sounds like a nice property. Why do you even want to sell it? I like to ask, why don't you just list it with an agent? One of the things I always try to do is be the reluctant buyer. That takes so much pressure off of trying to sell them or make an offer on the phone. Like, I want them to give me a number. And throughout all of this, you're building rapport with them, whatever. And then the final thing is price. That's it. And Gavin, do you have to give them an offer on the phone?
No.
No.
You don't.
All right,
Absolutely not. And that's where if you have a starting point, and this is why it's good, like there's so many, and again, with sales, you only get better by doing, and why we role play and the importance of it is because when you get them back on the phone, right, and you're going to go and deliver the bad news, the news that makes you want to throw up. David wants 50,000 and here I come offering 28,000 and David ain't going to be happy about it, right? Don't worry about it because you can't do anything. You're just going to get on and you're going to say, hey, David, appreciate your time yesterday, this morning, whenever you spoke. Look, I've looked at the comparables and unfortunately, I understand why you want 50,000. I just can't get anywhere near it. And then I say nothing. Now, do you think David is going to say, okay, Gavin, no problem, thanks, bye? Or do you think he's going to say, well, what can you offer? I just think the human mind is going to say, well, he's going to ask me what? Right? I mean, I've done this enough. I know they're going to ask me. It's not even a question. No one's going to say, thanks, bye. They're just not going to do that. They're going to say, well, what will you offer? And I say, you know what? I don't want to insult you. I understand. I know you were really, set on 50,000 and I just can't get anywhere near that number. We've had a great conversation. So this just doesn't seem anything that I can do. And then I stop. And then he's going to go, no, I get it. It's all right. It's okay. And he's going to then say it again. And now when he gives me that third time to then go in and go, all right, okay, no, I'm going to be around like the 25, 26,000 mark. How does that make you feel? And he'll go and you'll get a different reaction because he'll say something like, what, really? Like that low? Right? You're not going to get them flying off and slamming the phone down. If you've positioned it properly, okay, that you can do that. And that's an advanced thing. But that's where you'll build to.
Yeah.
Right now, just make the offer.
Yeah.
Send the offer. Remember, the more offers that you make, the more chance of you doing deals. Yeah. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and this is all the numbers game. It's just a simple numbers game. Let me say this too. I forgot to mention this at the beginning. We're going to put all of this whole little class together into a PDF, a summary with all of these notes, and we're going to give them to you later. So whether you're watching this later or now, we're gonna have either in the show description below or somewhere an outline and a summary of everything that we've been talking about on this video because I know you're taking a lot of notes. But let's just recap real quick. Being brilliant at the basics, at these 4 things. Number 1, marketing. Consistency. Write that down. Consistency. Just pick one channel. Don't worry about trying to do 2 channels. Don't worry about trying to go into 4 markets. Just pick one market, one channel, like direct mail or cold calling. I prefer direct mail. I'd rather get leads to come to me. And be consistent with it. Stay with it. Do the same thing for at least 3 months, right? Consistent lead flow. And the other thing with marketing is get it done for you in spite of you. Don't try to do it yourself. Just get somebody else to do it for you. So number 1 is marketing. We're not in the real estate investing business. We're in the marketing business, right? Number 2, talk to sellers. If you could just talk to 5 sellers a day, I say this all the time. If you're not on this phone, you're not making money. But it's not like you have to be this expert salesman either. You just got to talk to them, like have a regular, normal conversation and ask questions. That's it. When you're talking to sellers, there's 4 things you need to talk to them about. Number 1, what's their motivation or their situation? Number 2, what's the timeline? Is this a now thing or a later thing for them? Number 3, condition. What type of, it's a property, where is it at? Is it a road access? What's the area like? And number 4 is price. And if they give you a price, hey, is that a fair price for this crazy market right now? I don't know. Now, number 3, we need to move on, is making offers. We've talked about this a little bit already. If you're not making offers, you're not making money. If you're not on the phone, you're not making money. Like, this is so simple. And Gavin, people get overwhelmed when they're getting a bunch of leads because they don't know how to evaluate the leads. And I get it. You've never done it before, right? When you're watching me on a video doing it or Gavin on a coaching call doing it, it seems like, oh man, they're just doing it so fast. It looks so easy. But when you're left by yourself, and now all of a sudden you're trying to figure out this deal, like, oh my gosh, these doubts start creeping up in your head and you start thinking, oh man, well, what about this and what about that? And you're looking at all these different numbers and you're confused and overwhelmed because looking at one set of data or one website, you think maybe it's worth this. And when you look at another set of data, you think it's worth this. And what do you do? Until you learn kind of how it goes, that's normal. All right, so we're not going to say, hey, that's dumb. Don't be an idiot. We're not going to say that. But here's the thing. It's important that you start hanging out with people who have made a lot of offers, who've done a lot of deals. And this is why I started my every weekday morning, I'm doing comping calls, right? They're a half hour to an hour long every weekday morning for our apprentices. I'm just getting on Zoom. People are coming in. We're looking at deals. And sometimes usually it takes me just a couple minutes to come up with an offer. Sometimes it might take 5 or 10 minutes. But this is why we make offers at 30 to 40, maybe 50 cents on the dollar. That gives you the margin for error. And one of the things we tell our apprentices all the time is, listen, don't worry about making a bad offer, because guess what? If you do, you can back out of it, right? And you can rely on us as your financial partners. So you can go back to the seller if you made a bad offer and say, you know what, I'm sorry. And by the way, you have 90 days to close. 90 days to close, and you do not have to close on the deal until you find a buyer. You don't have to close on the deal until you find a buyer. But the other good thing about now that you have a financial partner behind you with money, Gavin, my mom called me the other day. I won't tell you how much, but it's a huge, substantial amount of money. She wants to invest in land deals. Like, okay, I have some apprentices that are looking for land deals, right? So like, there's a lot of money out there, and we have some of it, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Looking for land. So like, okay, listen, just make the offers. But now you can use us as a filter or a sounding board where, either on the morning comping calls or you bring us the deal after you get under contract. And guess what? If we're like, yeah, you know what? That's not a good deal. Maybe you missed this or you didn't, you missed that. That's fine. Blame it on the numbers. Blame it on your financial partners. You can go back to the seller and say, listen, I'm sorry. We didn't realize that blah, 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 blah. And my financial partners, my backers, my investors have said they won't lend on this deal. I'm sorry. We either going to need to cancel this agreement or can you lower your price so that's where you can go into that. But so I want to remove the fear of taking offers, of making offers. Listen, if you never make an offer, you're never going to do a deal. Do you think anybody here on this webinar that has done a deal before, do you think like they knew what they were doing the first time they made an offer? No, nobody knows what they're doing the first time they made an offer. That's how you just get started. You just do it anyway. Go ahead, Gavin.
And that goes the same as your jobs, right? Whatever you do in life. Like when I used to be a golf professional, when I first swung the golf club, I couldn't hit the ball, right? When Joe did whatever he did, he went to college and got his MBA and did all that. He didn't know what he was doing when you started. Just like when you went to school, when you couldn't read and write. Like all the things that you have done took time and work to get there. The crazy thing is with real estate, okay, is that you don't have to have a degree, right? This is wild. The money that can be made in real estate when you can have no education, right? If you have an education or not, one point is it doesn't matter. That's what's crazy about it. And if you just do the basic things well and consistent, and we talk about momentum. Momentum is built off consistency of doing things and creating small wins, okay? That's what momentum is. When you feel like everything's against you, right? We've all felt that. And then when everything's just working, confidence is up, calls are going well, right? When calls are going well, when offers are going well, you don't stop making offers. You do more of them, right? Because you're just in a flow. The momentum is building. And that's what you want to, be able to work to. Because if you do that, and like Joe said with the apprentice, is that you've got leads coming in, Joe does a marketing plan, right? When you look at it from a business, he picks a market, you pick a market that you're interested in. He will use data driven to make sure that that's a good market and agree or disagree, but you will make a decision on a market. Then he's going to generate the leads and they're going to come inbound leads into you interested in selling. So that's already been taken care of, right? So now you've got leads coming in. Then you've got every single morning at 8:30 Central, unless he's traveling or at an event, where he will be on Zoom. When you've got these leads, you've got these questions, you've got these concerns, and we'll be able to go, hey, Joe, I've looked and I can't find comps. I've gone back a year, I've done this, I've done that, and I just can't figure this out, right? And Joe's going to look at it and go, you know what, you're right. We're just going to have to do a guesstimate on it. We're just going to throw a number out and let's see where we're at. He may tell you that because he's looking at the same data. Or actually, Bob, you've got the filter wrong. You're looking at this filter's blocking all these. Look, if you do this and this, oh, what? This is crazy. Look at all these. So that's how you're going to be able to move forward, right? So you've got leads. You've now got where you can go in the morning to get help. It can't not work if you work it, right? This is an opportunity where I only wish was available. And Joe, I know, he did 3 years, right, of not doing a deal. Everything's there. You've just then got to focus and do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Okay? And just make offers. And if you do it, they will land.
So here's my numbers. When I was doing deals with my teenagers, this was 5 or 6 years ago, we averaged one deal out of every 30 offers that we sent. One deal out of every 30 offers that we sent. And on average, like I said before, is 2 to 3 months of follow-up and 7 to 8 touches. And for a touch, that's just a text, it's an email, it's another piece of mail, it's a ringless voicemail, it's something simple like that, a phone call. I just interviewed recently one of our clients. His name was Grant. It's on the podcast. You go listen to it. He's averaging one deal out of every 12 offers that he sends. And he's sending these letters. He's doing one deal on average out of every 600 letters that he sends. Does that mean you're going to get a deal out of the first 600 that you send? No, probably not. We're not guaranteeing or promising anything. But because Grant has been consistently doing the marketing, he's brilliant at the basics. He's consistently sending the marketing. He's consistently talking to sellers just for a few minutes when the call comes in. He's consistently making offers to every seller that calls in. And he's consistently following up every single month with every. That's it. You're going to do deals. Okay. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's magic because it's not magic, but that's just the way it works. Right? So the more offers you make, the more deals that you're going to do. So then the fourth thing is follow-up. The profit is in the follow-up. A lot of times sellers say no, and it's easy. And this is one of the big problems that we're seeing with some of our clients right now in the apprentice program is they're like, man, I made a bunch of offers and everybody said no. All right, well, how much follow-up have you done? How long has it been? Well, I've not done any follow-up yet. It's only been a week or something since I sent the last offer. Listen, no means, write this down, no means not yet. What does that mean? Sometimes sellers just need time to cook. But I get it. You're overwhelmed. Maybe you got a full-time job. You've got obligations. You've got a bunch of things going on. You got a bunch of new leads coming in. So how are you going to remember to do all this follow-up? And this is where automation becomes so important. Gavin and I have talked about this for years. We've been working together for over 10 years. And there's 3 things to success in this business: marketing, automation, and delegation. And so when you set up the right systems in place, that system does the follow-up for you. Because we operate under this philosophy of no lead left behind. We don't want any lead to fall through the cracks. Every lead gets an offer. That's 5 words, right? Every lead gets an offer. And so then what happens? If you're like me, man, you're busy, you got 100 things going on, you're unorganized. And so you've got to set it up where you have a system or a virtual assistant, a VA, that does all of your marketing and follow-up for you in spite of you. That right there is the key to doing a lot of deals, because even in competitive markets, and quote unquote competitive, because when you compare it to houses, it's not competitive at all. But when you're doing land, maybe some areas are more competitive than others. That's the number one thing you can do to stand up above all of your competition is just can follow up, because nobody's doing that. Gavin, how many deals have you done where the sellers are just like, you're the only guys who followed up? You're the only guys that answer their phones. You know what I'm saying?
It happens all the time. It's insane. We used to price, especially in houses, we used to basically do follow up and build rapport to a point where we had so many sellers say, you will be who we come to when we are ready. Still follow up with them, but we had that with no one else. One marketing piece was going to beat us, right? And or we would also be, or always be in the shot to be able to get the deal. Meaning, hey, we just had this one that came in, this offer, and it's 10,000 more than yours. And we'd have to negotiate these things, but we're always in the race. We'd never go back and go, oh, we did a deal with someone else. Just doesn't happen, because you get to know, once you've touched someone 3 times, once you've had communication 3 times with someone, you're on a different level of knowing them than the first or second time.
Yeah.
Right? So if I've talked to Joe, he doesn't know me, talk to him again, he kind of knows me, but then the third time, he now, if someone said, has this guy ever called you? I go, yeah, he's called me. Yeah, I know who that is, because you've done that repetition. So you have to stay in their thoughts and in their mind. And the key is that you don't need to make it about the property or the piece of land, right? Or whatever. You don't lead in about that on your follow-up. If you've taken good notes, you want to be listening and paying attention to anything that they say. So Joe was just in volleyball, right? You did a volleyball tournament in Orlando last week, right?
Yep.
So let's say I was talking and he was heading out to do his tournament with his daughter in Orlando. You make that note. When I follow up with Joe, I look quite, hey Joe, how you doing? It's Gavin. You know, we talked about your piece of land. Anyway, how was the volleyball tournament with your daughter? He's going to be like, oh, well, it was amazing. I can't believe you've remembered that, right? It's in my notes. Yeah, of course I did. Yeah, I know you were really excited. And, you know, how did they get on? Oh, they finished second. Oh, that's amazing. We're just building rapport.
Yeah.
Then
So
I
powerful.
shift to, well, anyway, I'm sure you're busy, but, you know, I wanted to, you know, I know we talked previously. Has anything changed? Do you want to talk about this number?
Yeah, I'm following up with the offer I sent you last month.
That's it. Yeah. And he's going to be, because you've just talked about his daughter, like, you're not going to him then going off on you. It just doesn't work like that. Like, he's just been, oh, thank you, yes, it was amazing. You've just had a great 30-second moment on something that he really liked to then come into the office. He's then not just going to start kicking off. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I'm telling you, it'll change the game for you.
Yeah.
I do it.
So that's it. I mean, being brilliant at the basics, you will do deals if you do those 4 things. Marketing, talk to sellers, make offers, and follow up. Oh, Joe, what about the money, the title company? How do you market the property? Where do you find the money? How does the contracts and all the paperwork work? I thought it was illegal, immoral, and fattening to wholesale deals in North Carolina, Oklahoma, Illinois. I mean, there's a bunch of new states that are coming along, right? Like, how do you do that? What about this? What about that? Remember, we talked about this. Stop asking the what ifs. Just start asking what next. Because if you just focused on these 4 things, whether you're bringing deals to us to partner on or with anybody else, those kinds of steps are important, but you don't need to worry about those. Because when you've got a good deal, everything else is going to fall in place. The money will be there. The partners will be there. The buyers will be there. The contracts will be there. The title companies will be there. The realtors. You may not even need any of that stuff. And so this is why we work so hard with our apprentices. Like because you know, we've done a lot of coaching over the years, Gavin, and one of the biggest problems we had was just getting people started, like getting them to do the marketing because they were overthinking everything. So then we said, all right, let's just give them leads. Let's do the marketing for them and give them leads. Well, the next problem, quote unquote, next challenge, I guess is a better way to say it, is, all right, now I've got so many leads. So we're fixing that right now. I mean, let's just take a deep breath, a sigh of relief, and like, oh, okay, well, it's not that complicated, is it? These are the things that separate our most successful clients that are doing deals and those that aren't. They're just really, really good at those basic things. We call it massive, imperfect action. Write that down. This is the key. This is the secret. Massive, imperfect action.
Yep, absolutely. And with the apprentices, you know, as we said, like, if you have 50 leads, right, and they come in, the overwhelm kicks in, right? And now you're going, I've got 50 leads, like, what am I going to do? You're all over the place and it's hectic. All you need is a simple plan. And this is one that we just put in place for somebody. Let's
Yeah,
say
let's
who
talk.
it is.
This is really good. Talk about this.
Yeah,
This is kind of a summary of everything we're talking about here.
Yeah, and it all falls back into the fundamentals. Okay, so we've got 50 leads. We're in crazy freak out mode, right? We've got these leads. I'm not keeping up. They're just hectic. You can just tell it's just hectic, like a lot going on. So I'm like, all right, let's just break it down. Forget number one that there's 50 leads. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go one lead at a time.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters. You're going to open the lead up and you're going to follow this sequence. Number one, you open the lead up, okay? You're going to listen to the voicemail. Remember, direct mail, they've either left a voicemail or they didn't. We're going to go and listen to the voicemails first. You're going to listen to the voicemail. You're then going to step two, you're going to call them back. You're going to ask 4 questions, these 4 questions, okay? Once you've done that, you're then going to come off. You're going to then make the offer. You're going to open Zillow. You're going to look at the solds. You're going to make your offer, and then you're going to send it. And then you're going to create a task for your next action step.
Yep.
And then guess what you're going to do?
You're going to change the status.
You'll change the status. Okay, so you update the status. You put your notes in. You create your next task. You've already sent the offer, and you go to the next lead. And then you do that again. And you're going to go through that sequence every single time. And guess what? You're going to work through 1. You're going to work through 2, 5, 10. And then guess what? You've now got 10 less than you had. Because you can only physically do one thing at a time, right? And that's all I wanted you to do. And the relief was, that's all I've got to do? Yeah, just one. Just one, open one. Just focus on that. And if you go voicemail, once you've done all your voicemails, you're then going to go to your callbacks. And you're going to call the voicemail back. And then you're going to have a conversation. You're going to make an offer. You're going to set a task, change the status, update your notes, and go to the next. And then nothing else matters. Forget your workflows. Forget new lists you've got to look. Forget it all. Just do this. And if you do this for a few hours, you do it for an hour a day, an hour more, before you know, by the end of the week, you've worked all 50. And guess what? You may have even got 2 contracts, right? Yeah. That's what we're aiming for.
Well, and this is why I'm so excited about this and so passionate about it, because there may even be some of you who literally do not have the time right now. You can't do those calls. Well, you know what? That's maybe not the best scenario to be in, but you can still do deals anyway. And this is how I did my first 50 or so deals with my boys. We sent the mail out, the postcards came in, and my boys from the laptop on the kitchen table at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night would go through these voicemails, and we would get the reference ID, okay? They would put in the numbers into a spreadsheet. They would look at actives and solds on Zillow. And by the way, I have a brand new, a software thing that attaches to Google Chrome that scrapes all of the Zillow listings. And you get an average price per acre. And you just figure out, okay, based on these numbers, bam, 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 you got to, okay, the property might be worth this. My boys would make an offer at 40% of that. So if it's worth 100 grand, we'll make an offer for 40 grand. Boom, that's it. Like a 13-year-old can do that. We'd put the numbers in to FreedomSoft. We would click the orange button and we would send the offer. And then when we sent the offer, it would automatically remind us. Well, first of all, it would send a text and an email 9 days later. Hey, did you get the offer? It would remind my boys a few days later to call them, do a ringless voicemail. Sometimes we just did ringless voicemails. And then 30 days later, it would remind us to send another offer. And that's all we did. And we did deals before actually even talking to the sellers. So ideally, number one, you want to call the sellers first. We always recommend that because you want to establish a little rapport, get them to know you, you get to know them a little bit. But if you absolutely can't, we have one client right now who is working 60 hours a week, and he's getting transferred to move with his business company to another country. I'm like, okay, I get it. But he's like, he was freaking out. I don't know what to do. Well, we told him, listen, don't shut it off, okay? But can you spend 30 minutes or an hour, just a little bit at a time? He was getting a 4% response rate on his direct mail, Gavin. We have one client in somewhere up north, I won't say where, who's getting 10% return on his marketing. That's like a response rate. You're lucky in houses if you get half of 1% with postcards. He's getting 10%. This other guy is getting 4.5% response marketing on their postcards. If you can't talk to them for whatever reason, it's time zone difference or whatever, you can still just send the offer in the mail, in an email, and by text, and then let the system do the follow-up for you. And then later on, you get 1 out of 30. And this is why, remember I told you my numbers were 1 out of 30. Grant's, one of our clients, is 1 out of 11, 1 out of 12. It's because he's talking to them. Me, I prefer just to only talk to them after they get my offer because I'm lazy, whatever, I don't know. But it works. It just works. You just may have to send more offers. And here's the other cool thing. Sometimes we have apprentices that will partner with each other, right? If one guy is too busy, getting behind on his leads, there maybe is somebody else in the community that can work his leads with them. Does that make sense? If you go to joemccall.com/apprentice, there's a short video I did there of what this is all about. And we just thought, you know what, Gavin, we want the fastest path to success is let's just set everything up for people. Let's just give them the leads. And we even have, if you're qualified, if you have a decent credit score, we even have 0% business lines of credit up to, 100 grand, where you could use your 0% for 12 to 21 months of business credit for the apprentice program if you want. But we just decided, let's just do this where, we want to do a bunch more deals. And so instead of hiring a big acquisitions team and a dispositions team, let's just bring on some folks who can work the leads for us, right? Let's do the marketing for them. Let's give them 60 leads in 60 days. And that's what we're doing here in the apprentice program. Again, joemccall.com/apprentice, right? Let's just give them the leads. Let's help them set up the LLC. Let's help them set up the software. Let's help them set up all the phone numbers and the voicemails and get the lists and do the direct mail. Let's help them even comp the deals every morning. And we'll do some deals, right? And so we've been having a lot of success. A lot of guys are doing deals. After the deal, guess what? We'll partner with you on it if you want. And there is a fee, there is a deposit. I like to call it a deposit that is required because you kind of have to, we can't do all this work and you not do anything with these leads and then we're left holding the bag. That's just not going to work, right? But the way we've set this up, you get the deposit back out of the profits of the first deals that you do, the first 1 or 2 deals that you do. And
you get 100% of it first.
100% of it back. And so we only split the profits after you get your apprentice fee back. If you go to joemccall.com/apprentice, it has a little video on there that explains it. There's a page that explains it. There's an application button. This is not for everybody. All right. We do have some real strict criteria. We want to work with people that are massive action takers. We don't want to work with people who are timid and afraid of, handling leads, right? We don't want to work with folks that they need extreme hand holding. We'll hold your hand, right? But if you need everything explained in excruciating detail before you take any action, I don't know if we're going to be helping. There's other things that we can give you that might be better for you now, right? So we're seeing some questions here, Gavin. What if they need earnest money deposits? Real simple. Most, of all the, hundreds of deals that I've done, or land deals, I've never used earnest money deposits, except when I'm making offers on a property that's listed with an agent. If it's listed with a realtor, I will do an earnest money deposit. But for me, it's not a big deal. If you're working with us, we'll give you the money for the earnest money. It's not a big deal because it's just usually $500. It's $1,000, and that doesn't even go to the seller. It goes to the title company that gets paid when the deal gets closed. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. And sometimes you need a proof of funds letter. You can use ours. We'll give you a proof of funds letter that actually has a legit phone number on it that the realtor or the seller can call. Somebody answers the phone and we'll verify that the money is there. Marion is asking a good question. Do you need an LLC to start? Yes. Is it required? No. But when we set up your phones inside of the software and stuff, they do require that you have an LLC to register your phone number.
Yeah.
That just
Normally what we do is you have a little bit of homework, and that's one of them. So you can still apply, you can still do this, because the first thing we'll do is tell you to get the LLC, and we have people that can help with that as well. So we can, guide you in the right area there if you need to get an LLC. But I would recommend that you do one, regardless.
Good. Dan's got a good question here. I don't see what the strategy is here. I'm looking to buy raw land. I talked to a bunch of people that have said they're interested in selling. Then I buy it and resell it on the market. Yep, that's the strategy. We're just flipping deals. We're wholesaling it. We're buying it at 40 cents on the dollar and we're selling it for 80 cents, 90 cents on the dollar. And usually we list it with agents. We list it with realtors. Or you assign it, depends on the state. Like right now in Florida, it's easier to do assignments in Florida. So we'll just assign it. Sometimes we do double closings, same day double closings when we use transactional funding. And we have access to free transactional funding that doesn't cost you anything. So we'll just double close on it. Or sometimes, most of the time, I just prefer, because we have the money, we'll buy it, we'll close on the deal, then turn around and list it with a realtor. And you make way more money. Even after this profit splits, you make more money doing it that way.
I think he was confused when you said your mum lending money to you, wanting to invest in land. He's confused.
Yeah, that makes sense. My mom is one of my private lenders. Sometimes on deals. Maybe your mom wants to be a private lender on deals. But listen, this is how much I believe in this business, right? Do you think I would be borrowing money from my mom if this was a scam? Not. If there was anything shady about what we're doing here? HE double hockey sticks? No. Are you kidding me? Right? And this is I believe in this so much. I would have no problem selling my apprentice program to my mom.
She'd do it as well.
Yeah, I would have no problem doing it because I know if she did what I told her to do, and hopefully she would get all of her money back. Okay. Can I use an existing LLC? Yes, Jim, you certainly can. Now, a lot of people ask about LLCs. We're not legal experts. I recommend you get, if you're doing houses already, you should probably get a new LLC for land. If you've got one doing houses, if you got one doing commercial, maybe get a new LLC for land in the state where you live. And don't worry about getting LLCs in all the different states that you're doing this in. And we have a lot of clients in Canada, by the way, Gavin, right?
Yep.
We were just talking to our legal expert recently, and he helps tons of people from Canada set up all their entities to do land in the United States. So can you flip land in Canada in the United States? Yep.
Absolutely.
100%. Erasely, I believe. How do you do the assignments? We work with realtors that do assignments, but most of the time, again, we only do assignments in usually one or two states. The other states, we'll buy it and close on it, which leads to the other question. Can you list it while in contract? Maybe, don't know, it depends. But if we're closing on the deal, it doesn't matter. We don't list it until we own it. And it's just easier. It's called the takedown method. You get a property under contract, you just take it down. And again, all this is why I love land so much, Gavin. With a house, you're making an offer at $150,000, $250,000, right? With land, we're buying properties on average for like $15,000, maybe $10,000 or $20,000. I can put that on. I mean, I can. Maybe you can. We can put that on a credit card. It's like we're talking. The money is so much small, but the profit is the same. When we wholesale it, we're averaging $10,000, $11,000 in profit on our wholesale deals right now. Sometimes it's $3,000, sometimes it's $25,000, $35,000. The profits are the same, but the money we're putting into our deals is so much smaller than a house. There's so much less to risk. On a house, you have to close in 30 days. You have 1 or 2 weeks of inspection contingency. You got to put down a large earnest money deposit. You've got a seller that's getting a ton of offers from other investors and YouTube University wholesalers. And like, you've got to move fast. You got to be really, really fast on that deal because the seller is going to get cold feet or whatever. With land, it's completely different. There's a much longer runway, and we do not close on the deal until we know we can find another buyer for the deal. And yes, JD, it's legit. Okay, so we're looking at questions here. Jay Green's asking about a deal. He's offered $40,000. It's being sold at an auction. The agent wants 10%. Yeah, so if there's an agent who wants commissions on a deal, yeah, that's fine. Pay them the commissions. You just work it into your offer, okay? That's not a big deal. Can you put a property on the MLS while it's under contract? Yes and no, it depends. How's that for an answer? It varies by the state. And if it's a problem in the state that you're trying to do deals in for the 5th time, just use our money and close on it. Take it down. And guess what, Gavin, if we don't like the deal, are we going to lend them the money on the deal?
Absolutely not. I was going to say that earlier. No one will lend you money on the deal. It's not a deal. So that's how you make sure you're not in bad deals. Because people we always used to have a saying, only buy what you can wholesale. Okay? Never go, no one else wants it, so I'm just going to buy it. That is when you're asking for a problem. Okay? So other people's money. And if they're not going to lend, it's because it's not a deal. What does that mean? You have to go and renegotiate for a lower price.
Yeah, which is not a big deal. And again, if
Yep.
you're embarrassed or worried about that, just blame it on the numbers. Blame it on your investors. Blame it on your financial partners. Christine asks a good question here. What are my options if I don't want to make calls with my personal cell phone? Listen, don't. I don't. I make all of my calls through FreedomSoft. FreedomSoft, you can do it from the computer, or there's an app on for iPhone and Android phones. When you call sellers through FreedomSoft, it shows them your FreedomSoft number. Okay. And we've even set it up now where you have a phone number on the postcard that goes to voicemail, but the phone number that goes on the contract gets redirected to your cell phone. But when it calls your cell phone, you answer it on your cell phone, and you'll know it's coming from FreedomSoft, from a seller. You can answer it if you want, or you can send it to voicemail. But the conversation, if you talk to the seller, will be recorded and kept in that seller leads record in the communications tab. So even though you're making and receiving the calls on your cell phone, it's still keeping the whole communication from all of the phone calls on all the different phone numbers from that seller in the same communication record, which is amazing because that is really hard to do, and FreedomSoft has cracked the code on that and has figured that out. Do you teach specifically how to find buyers? Yes, we do. Now here's the interesting thing here. Some guys are getting deals under contract, but they can't find buyers for them. So what does that mean? You don't have a good deal. Or there's only two reasons why a property won't sell. Number one, it's overpriced. Or number two, you're not putting it in front of the right buyers. Nobody knows about it yet. If you're doing those two things, if you're putting it in front of the right buyers, then it's overpriced. If it's overpriced and you're putting it in front of the right buyers, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so it's one of those two things. So this is why we have 90 days to close on our contracts. Even if you had 30 days, okay, you should know within a couple, 3 weeks, whether you have a good deal or not. Why? Because you've submitted it to us on one of our morning comping calls. You've submitted it for funding to us, or you submit it to funding and some of the other people that we work with. And if nobody will fund your deal, or if you've talked to a couple of realtors and they've all told you that's probably not, something's wrong with this or whatever, you don't have to close on it. So the market will tell you whether you have a good deal or not. And so if you're having a hard time finding buyers and you're doing all the right things, then it's probably not a good deal, Brian. And you may need to go back to the seller and just cancel the agreement or negotiate a new price. Okay? That's not a big deal. JD is asking, can I use your money if I'm not in the apprentice program? No. Now, sometimes we do fund deals for students who are in the Dirt Flippers program. Good question from JD here. Do you believe that SMS is a good marketing channel? Personally, I don't like it. It's like playing whack-a-mole. Is that what it's called? Whack-a-mole? You know, remember the game when you're at this board and you have a hammer and is it a chipmunk or a mole, a groundhog? Pops up and you're trying to hit it, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like with texting, because the carriers will start blocking your number when they see that it's spam and you're calling and texting a bunch of people all at once. So it's a giant game of whack-a-mole. I so love direct mail because the quality of the lead is so much better. With texting and cold calling, it's kind of interruptive marketing. You're interrupting them. And they're saying, if they say yes, then they're like, yeah, just make an offer. But if they get a letter or a postcard and they take the time to call a 24-hour recorded voicemail, the quality of that lead is way better because they want an offer. And then when you call them back, the positioning is so much better. You haven't interrupted them. You're calling them back. Hey, I got your voicemail. How can I help you? Do you see the difference there? Adriel, I believe. So if I use your money to take it down, how long are you going to give me to rehab, list, and sell and pay you back? Okay, good question. But do we rehab vacant land? No. This is why, oh my gosh, every rehab I've done, I've lost money on. All right. And I know you had a big old rehab a year or two ago. Yeah. What happened with that deal?
Yeah, I could have wholesaled it made 25,000 in 30 minutes. And that was an offer that we had, 25,000. Got greedy because we thought we could make 100,000. And we thought, absolutely, if everything goes wrong, we could make 60,000, right? This was the mindset. But I think we can make 100. 8 months later, we sell it. 8 months later, 70,000 over rehab cost going in. I netted 22,000 after 8 months. Could have sold it for 25 in 30 minutes, had the offer in hand. 22,000. We made money on it, but we didn't when you look at all the hassle, time, team's time. I mean, it cost us ridiculous amounts
and
of
the
money.
opportunity cost. I mean, during that
Oh,
8
it
months,
was,
you could have wholesaled 10 deals.
oh, absolutely. Like when you look at the bank, we made money, but we didn't. Opportunity cost, team's time doesn't go in that, right? Like it just, yeah, costs us a ton of money.
So some people are good at rehabbing. I look at rehabbing as like adult daycare. It'll ruin.
Yeah.
Look how much hair me and Gavin have. Like
Exactly.
we don't got any more hair to lose.
Yeah.
So
And it was just the craziest things that you can't plan for. Like we've just paid 20,000 to a contractor who then unfortunately got into an accident, but he'd been drinking, right? But we paid him and he didn't die, thankfully, but he was in a coma.
wow.
And we couldn't get the money, so we had to spend more money. And then all the things came out of his truck that he had that was going to, it was just a disaster. Like the things that, again, you're right. It's daycare is what it is.
So we don't rehab properties. And when we lend money on a deal, our average turnaround is 2 to 3 months. Okay. At the longest, it's 3 months. And by that point, usually, I mean, if we haven't found a good buyer in 1 month, we're dropping the price. I have never lost money on a vacant land deal because we buy it at such a big discount. And we always base our offer, our value of the property on a conservative number that we think we can sell it quickly for in 1 or 2 months. So if a realtor tells us, hey, you can probably sell it for 100 to 120 grand, guess what we're listing it for? 90. We are pricing it aggressively to sell in 1 or 2 months. And guess what? Angel or Adriel, sorry. Let's say let's say it takes 6 months or 12 months to sell it. Whose money was used to buy that deal? Ours. So
Yeah.
really, I know you're not making the money maybe you're thinking you're making, but isn't that better than using all of your money and tying it up for that deal? We're putting our money at risk on these deals. So we're not going to put our money at risk on a bad deal, are we? No. Okay, that's a good question from Dion, I believe. If the land has been on the market for over 90 or more days with an agent, would the conversations and questions be different? Oh, that's really good. We didn't have time to talk about this, but one of the things that we like to do if we're working with somebody that doesn't maybe have the money for marketing, or they've already done the direct mail, they want more leads, they don't want to spend more money on direct mail, whatever. One of the things that we like to do is we like to call realtors who have listed older vacant land. And we're not trying to necessarily get that deal under contract because we're going to probably have to make an offer at 25 cents on the dollar from what it's listed at. But our goal with that realtor is to build a relationship with them and ask them if they have other off-market properties that they could bring to us, and we'll pay them 10% commissions. Now, here's the crazy awesome thing about this. If you call realtors, if you just talk to 5 realtors a day, each conversation maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So it's an hour a day. Calling 5 realtors a day, that's 25 in a week, that's 100 realtors in a month. And then every month you follow up with every one of those realtors. Hey, do you got any deals? We're looking for off-market deals. We'll pay you 10% commissions if you bring us any off-market deals. Those realtors do not want to list land anymore. And we will buy them. We'll buy those lots, obviously at our price, and we'll pay that agent 10% commissions. So if you just did that, you may not ever have to do any direct mail ever again. If you're just calling realtors every day and then following up with them every 30 days, and FreedomSoft can do all of that follow-up for you. Oh, that's exactly what I would do if I didn't have any money for direct mail.
Yep.
Oh, good question from Dev here from the YouTubes. Can I sell a property while under seller financing? And what do you think about the California market? Great question. So there's one of my favorite strategies right now that we're kind of like doing more is called wraparound financing. So like we make an offer to the seller to buy it for cash and owner financing. So we'll give them 2 prices. And I was just talking to a guy today, Gavin, about, well, never mind. I won't get into that. Buy it for cash, sell it with owner financing, and then sell it on owner financing. So what if you could buy it with owner financing without using any of your own money? Like I'm talking about, instead of giving the seller a cash offer at 40 cents on the dollar, what if you could give the seller an owner financing offer at 80 cents on the dollar? 0 down, 0% interest for 10, 15 years. And then you sell it on seller financing. That's called wraparound financing. So you're going to wrap around a new mortgage around, you're going to wrap that new mortgage around the original mortgage, okay? It's 100% legal if you use the right paperwork. You can make a ton of money a lot of money that's almost an infinite ROI because you're not using any of your own money. So you can do that all day long. And what do I think about the California market? I love it. I was just looking at California 2 days ago with one of our apprentices, looking at some markets, and we've got some crazy stuff right now that we're doing, guys. I wish I could show this to you, where we have a massive amount of data. And the amazing thing about AI now is when I'm on a setup call with an apprentice, I just download the data from the whole state, I upload it to our AI bot, and I say, analyze this and give us the top 5 counties. And within seconds, it analyzes all of the counties based on 5 different criteria. Things like average solds in the last 3 to 6 months, days on market, month-over-month price changes, population growth, competition, the amount of out-of-state or out-of-county landowners in that area. And it's flipping amazing. Like it uses this fancy, complex analytics, statistics, whatever, algorithms to come up with this. So that's exciting. And anyway, my point in all of that is there is a lot of vacant land being bought and sold right now in California. So if we're going to go into California, if we help you set up there, if you go to joemccall.com/apprentice, we will pull up that table of all of the data from the last year of all of the vacant land that is sold in California by county. And our algorithm through AI will tell us here are the 5 best counties. And what you and I are going to do on the phone is we're going to say, all right, which ones of these do we want to go into? And one of the things I'd do is I'll say, all right, that's probably the most competitive county. Let's not do that one. Let's go into these other ones. And it's pretty cool. Okay. So Yvonne, you gave us a phone number there. Do you see that number, Gavin?
Yes, I got it. Yes.
Okay, cool. So Gavin will reach out to you, Yvonne, I believe. Question from Matt. If I budget enough money to send 2,000 mailers a month for the next 3 months, A, should I send 2,000 mailers to the same records for the next 3 months consecutively, or send 2,000 mailers a month to 6,000 different records over the next 3 months, and then follow up quarterly? I don't know. So if your budget is to send 2,000 mailers a month, so that's a total of 6,000 mailers, what I would rather see you do is pick one state. Let's pick 2 or 3 counties in that state, and let's just mail, 500 a week for 3 months. If you can mail 500 postcards a week for 3 months, I can't promise or guarantee this, but you should do a deal. And we don't mail the same counties more than once every 3 months. So you're not mailing the same people every month. All right. There is so much vacant land available right now. If everybody, I don't even know how many people are on here. We got tons and tons of people. If everybody on this webinar right now mailed the same state, picked the same state, there'd be more deals than all of us could handle.
Absolutely.
Now, if all of us picked the same county, maybe then we'd be butting heads a little bit. But the same state, there's just so much vacant land out there. It's a silly question. I hope that answered your question, Matt. Will FreedomSoft also record other numbers that I have through Vumber? No, but William, one of the things that I've done before when I've used Vumber with FreedomSoft, Vumber will email you the phone record, the phone conversation, the recording of the calls and all that. FreedomSoft gives you an email so that if you could set it up where Vumber will email that FreedomSoft email and create a new lead inside of FreedomSoft. And so you can just generate new leads from email notifications from Vumber. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of technical there, and if you have a number on Vumber, I can't promise this, but usually if it's done through Twilio, and almost all of the virtual phone number companies use Twilio, you can port P-O-R-T, you can port your number from them into FreedomSoft. Wayne, can you calculate the max offer, turn every lead, even if profit has to slip? Do you understand that, Gavin?
You can have a max offer, turn every lead, even if I think what he's saying is, he's saying how to calculate the maximum offer. Like, would you do it so even if they have to take less profit? I think he means. So if the profit had to get less, I think that's what he means.
Okay, let's keep on going through this. Where does the deed go? Oh, good question from JD. Where does the deed go if you buy on owner financing and resell it on owner financing? So when we buy it with owner financing, we always close with title companies. So we take title to the property. We get title insurance on the property. Because you could save some money if you do kitchen top closing or use a mobile notary and all of that. and you file the paperwork yourself. But I always use a title company because I just want to keep everything above board. I want to be super safe, especially when I'm using private investors' money, right? So the title company makes sure that your private investors are safe and protected with a promissory note, and it's secured by a deed of trust, and everything is above board, and the title is clear. So when I buy it on owner financing, I take title to the property. I will become the owner of the property, and the seller will be the mortgagor. They'll be the bank on the property. But now that I have title to it, I'm going to sell it on owner financing, but it's more of a contract for deed, okay? And some investors I know will just do a lease option for the first year. But you sell it on owner financing where on a land contract or contract for deed, which means you don't give the deed to that end buyer until they pay you off. Now, I'm not an attorney, so you have to talk to an attorney if you want more help with that, and it depends on the state that you're in. Okay, cool. Dev says, great. I need to get in touch with you. This is the best way to do it, Dev. JoeMcCall.com/apprentice. Go check that out. JoeMcCall.com/apprentice. A good question from George. What are your thoughts on infill lots? I love infill lots.
George, I don't know if you know this, actually. George is our latest apprentice.
Oh, he's in?
Yes.
Come on.
He is.
Love it.
He is.
I love infill lots as long as you're in a market where there's a lot of infill lots being sold. Okay. Now, by the way, was I just voxering George earlier? I'm looking at one of the things that we do. No, I've not communicated with George yet.
George is going through financing.
Okay, all right. So I use Voxer to communicate with all of our apprentices, and it's like having me on a walkie-talkie. All right, so what I was going to say about infill lots. I would not recommend infill lots maybe in the mountains of North Carolina or in the mountains of Colorado or the Michigan, right? Because in those areas, a lot of the properties that are being bought and sold are 1, 2, 5, 10 acres. But I'm all about flipping infill lots in Florida, where there's a lot of infill lots being sold. So I am agnostic. I don't have any preferences to land, but we go where the fish are biting, Gavin. And this is why it's so important, I think, to work with a good coach, is we can go and see, we've got special glasses, and we can see through the water and see where the fish are biting. And we can tell there's no fish over there, all the fish are over there. And we can tell what kind of bait they're biting on, because we can see all of that. It's in public records and the software that we have. And we've even set AI up where it figures this all out for us. And so we know where the fish are biting. And we can go and see, all right, they're not buying here, they're buying over there. And they're buying quarter-acre lots, or they're buying 1 acre lots. And they're buying them for this price. And this is who the buyers are. So we know who to flip and wholesale the deals to. A few more questions here. Good to see you, George. By the way, I'm looking forward to working with you. Good question from Jay Green. A lot of other experts say spray and pray is not a good strategy. What is the crux of what you are teaching? I agree, spray and pray is not a good strategy. We are very, very targeted with our marketing, okay? But this is so important because I see a lot of land investors get stuck in analysis paralysis because they don't want to spray and pray. They don't want to send too much mail. They want to send out a few targeted pieces of mail, maybe 100 at a time, to a subdivision of properties that are all the same size in this little pocket area. Here's the problem with that. This is a big, big problem. You're going to be spending hours and hours and hours trying to come up with the right subdivision, the right properties, the lists, whatever, and send the perfect offer to them. And if you're not going to do that analysis, you're going to rely on a virtual assistant or somebody else to do it for you. For God's sake, do not rely on software to help you come up with the offers that you should be making to 100, 200 people in a blind offer. I would argue you're going to do more deals if you get a list. You find the zip codes, you find the state, you find the county, you find the zip codes, and then you find the size of properties that people are buying in those areas. Pull a list of all of the vacant landowners who own land there for over 10 years between whatever the buyers are buying, between 1 acre and 5 acres. And don't live in that zip code, so they don't live right next to the property. Get that list. It's easy. You can do that in seconds. And send them all a postcard or a letter. Send them to a voicemail. And then you analyze the deals as they come in. You are going to win more deals doing it that way. You're going to get more offers accepted doing that way. Because when you just send blind offers, you're going to make an offer on a property that's on the water and another offer on a property that's a mile away in the hills on a slope, and your offers are going to be completely way off. I just say don't waste your time. You're going to burn too many calories in your brain with your brain cells trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Racely, I believe. Just if you're having problems and you need us to help with that, I see your question here. Send an email to support@joemccall.com. support@joemccall.com. Okay, and again, joemccall.com/apprentices. Dion, what do you think about owner financing on land offers? I like it, but I would say when you're just getting started, just keep it simple, focus on cash offers. Oh, this is a good question. How can you go about doing the perk test or the soil test? So, if you have vacant land and you need to put you need to do a septic system, sometimes you have to get perk tests and soil tests. Of all the deals we've done, I've maybe paid for 1 or 2 perk tests. Normally, I just tell the seller, you have to do your own due diligence. One time we had a deal under contract and the buyer wanted us to do the perk test and we said no. And he said, well, I'm going to do it. Then we said, fine, go ahead. He got the perk test and it did not pass. And then he wanted his money back. I'm like, what are you talking about? He wanted us to pay for the perk test. He said, no, I'm sorry, we're not going to do that. So then guess what we did? We went back to the owner and we said, hey, you know what? We're not going to be able to close on this deal because it didn't pass a perk test. And we got the seller to go down on their price. Okay. I do not remember the numbers on this deal, but there is a saying in land that there is a pig for every barn. And we have sold land before that was landlocked. There was no roads. It was a wetland and there was no perk test done, or it maybe didn't fail or whatnot. At the right price, you can sell anything. Maybe you'll sell it to a neighbor. Maybe you'll sell that piece of land that is in a wetland to somebody that likes to go camping with their four-wheelers and go mudding in the mud. Okay. Araceli. Thank you.
Kristen said she already put a question and we must have missed it. I'm looking here. I found it. She said, would you talk about how to get opt-ins for RVM? I keep losing my phone number because I'm breaking the rules. You can't get people really to opt in on ringless voicemail because you're skip tracing and then you're dropping a ringless voicemail. So you can't get them to opt in. That's the problem. So that's where it becomes not legal because someone didn't give you permission to send them. It's pretty, as far as I'm aware, it's impossible to get a seller to opt in so you can market to them. There's no way around that. That's the problem with an RVM.
Let's wrap this up, Gavin. I'm excited about this apprentice program, right? Nobody else is doing this. There's a lot of guys out there doing coaching, which is great. I was hanging out with a guy today and yesterday that does a lot of coaching on land, and he's a great coach. He's been doing this for a long time. But nobody does it, I think, in my humble opinion, nobody does it better than we do it. And so we decided, you know what, let's just take away as many barriers as we can to get people started to have success. And let's just do the marketing for them. Let's just give them leads. Let's just pay for the marketing and give them leads. And then we do require an upfront deposit, and it's significant. It's not cheap, but let's just get the deposit. When we do a deal together, if we do a deal together, we don't promise it, but we will not split the profits on the deal until you get your deposit back, all right? And then after that, we'll split any profits. But you don't have to partner with us on deals if you don't want, okay? So if you're interested in getting more information, if you go to joemccall.com/apprentice, there is a video there of me explaining it. We also have a little program that if you're qualified, if you want it, we have 0% business lines of credit for 12 to 21 months. Is that right, Gavin? Yep. Everybody's kind of different, but on average, it's about $80,000 to $90,000 that people get. That's 0% interest for over a year. And if you want to find out if you qualify or not, it's just a soft credit pull that doesn't affect your credit score. Go to joemccall.com/apprentice. JD, the answer is no, we don't, but it sometimes depends. I know that's maybe not the clear question you want, but if you want us to do your marketing, if you want to be on my daily comping calls, you need to be in the apprentice program. Okay, cool. Any other questions? So somebody here has a customer who wants to buy land. So if you have somebody who wants to buy land, right? That's good. Add them to your buyers list. But unless you're licensed, we're not going out and finding land for buyers. But you need a license to do that. That's called brokering. And so if you have somebody who wants to buy land, that's great. Add them to your buyers list, find out what they're looking for, but you can't you know what I'm saying? You need a realtor's license to do that, and we're not realtors. Do you have to have your license to do vacant land deals? No. But we do work with realtors. We love working with realtors. We use realtors all the time. And we've got tons of realtors already in our network that we can do land deals with. We have title companies in over 30 states, 35 states. We have title companies that we've done wholesaling deals with before. And we have a lot of realtors. We have realtors in at least 10 or 12 different states. If it's in a state that we've not done deals in before, they're easy to find. And we have buyers. We have private money lenders and investors and buyers begging us for deals. We've got more money, more buyers than we know what to do with. That's why we're doing this. We want to do more deals. We don't want to build a huge, acquisitions management team. I like working from home. I don't want an office. I was just in some mastermind meetings today with a guy who has 70 employees, and I was getting hives. Super nice guy. But it was like I was freaking out. Like, I do not want to have a business that big. So let's just do deals together, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't mean to say anything negative about this guy. He's a super nice guy, very smart. He's way smarter than I am. I was complimenting my friend.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I didn't take it that way.
Okay,
it's just not how we build it. It's just a different model. It just doesn't work for us.
I'm all about lifestyle first. And this is, again, let's just kind of wrap it up with this. All right, guys, let's wrap it up with this, because you want to do deals, right? You have, your why might be, I want to pay for my kids' college. Your why might be, I want to take care of my wife so she can quit her job, or my husband so he can quit his job. I want to take care of my parents. I want to be with my family. I want to stay home. I want to be home more for my kids as they're growing up. I want to be home for my grandkids. I just want financial freedom so I don't have to work 50, 60 hours a week. I don't have a retirement. Whatever your why is, okay, be really, really clear on what is your why. And when it's big enough, your how will find a way. And I believe, in really my heart of hearts, that there's no faster and easier way to make money in real estate than by flipping vacant land. And if you want to learn land, right, and you can't afford coaching or something like that, great. Go to my YouTube channel. I've got tons of YouTube videos on there that are free that you can watch to learn how to do it on your own. But if you want somebody to just help you fast track to get it done faster, easier, okay, then let's talk about working together. We'll give you a business in a box. It's not a business in a box technically, right? It's not a franchise, but we've been there, done that. We've done tons of deals. We've helped tons of people do tons of deals. This is an apprentice program. It's not, you're going to learn by doing, all right? You can go to ChatGPT. You can go to YouTube and learn by learning, by watching a ton of videos and listening to a ton of podcasts. I've got a book, Flip Dirt, Not Houses. Read this book, okay? But if you just want a shortcut, if you're like, man, listen, I want to do land, but I'm too busy. I don't want to set all this stuff up. Just give me leads. I can make offers, all right? Then this is for you. This is something we want to talk. Go to joemccall.com/apprentice and let's get going. Let's do this. If you have any questions as we're going, and Eva, will you please type in our phone number as well? It's the 636 number. If anybody has questions, you can call us or text us at this number. You can also send an email to support@joemccall.com. support@joemccall.com. We have 4 people at any time, except in the middle of the night, that are on our help desk. So when you send an email, you get a response quickly. There's the phone number. You can text us at 636-249-1510, 636-249-1510, and we'll respond to you, right away, as soon as possible, depending on when you're watching this. Cool. Any final thoughts, Gavin?
No, we're excited to, potentially work with you. Again, hopefully you got something, still from this. Remember, keep it simple action steps, one thing at a time, stay focused. And looking forward to working with some of you. Joe, thank you.
It's been fun, guys. Thank you. Remember, be brilliant at the basics. Even if we're not going to work together, take the things that we taught you today and start focusing on that, right? Stop asking the what ifs and just start looking at what next. Number 1, marketing. Yep. Get your marketing consistently out the door, even if it's only just 20 letters a week or whatever. One phone call a day, but just do that marketing consistently. Start small. Number 2, talk to sellers. Just talk to 2 or 3 sellers a day, okay? Number 3, make an offer to every seller you talk to, for heaven's sake. Just make the offer. Don't overthink it. Don't spend more than 5 minutes. Just come up with a number. Pull it out of you know what. Make the offer. Okay? 2, 3 offers a day. My goodness, you're going to do a deal within 2 or 3 months. It's the law of averages. And number 4, follow up. Follow up every 30 days with every offer you send. All right, even if the seller says, no, I don't want an offer, I send them an offer anyway. Even if they say they want $5 trillion for the vacant lot, send an offer anyway. Even if it's only $100, if it's $500. We were looking at a land deal yesterday morning that was 90% water. Like it was a lake. This is, a little pond with enough land in there. And like, you can't do anything with that, but we still made the offer. We sent them an offer for $500. At least I told the apprentice, just send them an offer for $500. We're always sending offers. Okay.
Yep.
That's the secret magic sauce. I just told you everything that you need to know to do deals right there. It's being brilliant at the basic, simple things. It's not hard. It's very easy. Anybody can do this. Not everybody will, but anybody can.
Absolutely.
All right, good. All right, guys. All right. Yes, written offers. Yes, offers on the first call. Yes, so like that's really important. I hoped we talked about that and clarified it. But I want you to send offers in the mail, in an email, on the phone, by text, by carrier pigeon, by smoke signals, FedEx, whatever. Yes, all the above. Okay, send the offers. Do all of them as much as you can.
Yep.
All right, guys. Again, one more time, joemccall.com/apprentice. We'll see you later. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.